The sleek glass walls of Quantum Secure's headquarters reflected the San Francisco sunset as I watched security delete my access badge. 5 years of work, 3 patents, and countless sleepless nights, all supposedly erased with a single board vote. Marcus Chen, my co-founder and former best friend, stood watching with that infuriating half-smile I come to hate. My name is Alex Zhang, and I just got forced out of the cybersecurity company I helped build from nothing. But what Marcus and our venture capital backers didn't know was that I'd seen this coming. In tech, after all, the real power isn't in boardroom votes, it's in the code. I'll have HR send your final paperwork, Marcus said, adjusting his Brioni suit. The same suit I'd helped him pick out for our first major investor meeting 3 years ago. Though given the circumstances of your departure, don't expect much of a severance. I kept my face carefully neutral, remembering the late-night conversation I'd overheard 2 months ago. Marcus in his office, plotting with our lead investor. Once the Series C funding closes, we push Alex out. His blockchain protocol is worth billions, but he's too idealistic. Wants to keep it open source, can you believe it? You're making a mistake, I said quietly, watching our employees try not to stare through the glass walls. People I'd hired, mentored, built a team with. The protocol isn't as simple as you think. He laughed. Please, we have your entire code base. Every commit, every update, all safely stored in our private repositories. Face it, Alex, you're obsolete. What he didn't know was that the entire code base he was so confident about contained a carefully crafted time bomb. One that would activate exactly 30 days from now, when they tried to lock down my open source protocol for private profit. Good luck, Marcus, I said, turning to leave. You're going to need it. The security guard, Jim, who'd watched my back for 3 years, looked apologetic as he escorted me out. This isn't right, Mr. Zhang. Everyone knows you built the core tech. I smiled, thinking of the real core technology, the parts that weren't in any repository. Sometimes things aren't what they seem, Jim. Outside, San Francisco's tech district buzzed with its usual energy. Startups being born and dying, deals being made and broken, dreams being built and shattered. I've been part of that ecosystem for a decade, but never on this side of betrayal. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Sarah Chen at MIT's Digital Currency Initiative. Just saw the news. Board meeting didn't go well. As expected, I typed back. Is everything in place? All set. But Alex, are you sure about this? Once it activates. I thought about the true nature of what I built, not just a blockchain protocol, but a new kind of digital trust architecture. One that could either democratize cybersecurity or turn it into a weapon, depending on who controlled it. They think they're getting a golden goose, I replied. They don't realize it's a Trojan horse. The next few weeks were a carefully choreographed dance. During the day, I played the part of the bitter ex-founder, making just enough noise to keep Marcus and the board focused on me. Meanwhile, a network of allies I'd spent months cultivating moved into position. Lisa Martinez, our former head of engineering who'd quit in protest of my ouster, sent regular updates. They're trying to modify the protocol for enterprise licensing, running into unexpected complications. Of course they were. The elegant simplicity of my code hid layers of complexity that only revealed themselves when you tried to pervert its original purpose. Every attempt to close the system would trigger subtle but cascading problems. How long before they figure it out? She asked during one of our secret meetings at a small coffee shop far from the tech district. They won't, I said, watching the steam rise from my cup. Marcus understands business, but he never bothered to really understand the technology. He thinks cybersecurity is about locks and walls. He doesn't get that it's about trust and transparency. I spent my days setting up a small consulting firm, a cover story for my real activities. But at night, I monitored the blockchain network I created, watching as Marcus and his team stumbled blindly toward the trap I laid. 20 days after my forced exit, the first cracks appeared. Quantum Secure announced a delay in their enterprise security suite launch. Technical optimization issues, their press release claimed. The stock dropped 15%. They're trying to brute force solutions, Lisa reported. 3 developers quit yesterday. The system's fighting back exactly like you said it would. I thought about the elegant mathematics underlying my protocol, how it was designed to resist exactly the kind of corporate capture Marcus was attempting. Like trying to privatize gravity, he was fighting against fundamental laws he didn't even understand. A week later, Marcus called. I let it go to voicemail. Look, Alex, his voice tried for conciliation but couldn't hide the panic. Maybe we were hasty. The protocol's behaving strangely. We could use your insight. As a consultant, of course. Very well compensated. I didn't call back. Instead, I sent a message to our distributed network of early adopters. The real power behind what I built. Stay ready. Day 30 is coming. The response was immediate. Developers, cybersecurity experts, and privacy advocates around the world, all of them have been waiting for this moment. They understood what Marcus never had, that true security comes from community, not control. 5 days before the deadline, I received an unexpected visitor. Rebecca Wong, the lead investor who'd backed Marcus's coup, stood at my office door. We need to talk, she said, her usual corporate swagger replaced by genuine concern. The protocol, it's not just code, is it? I gestured for her to sit, finally asking the right questions. Rebecca. She placed a thick folder on my desk. Internal reports, technical analyses, market projections. We're bleeding money. Enterprise clients are backing out. The open source community is turning against us. Marcus swears he can fix it, but the more he tries to control it, the more it resists. I finished, almost like it was designed that way. What do you want? She asked directly. Name your price to fix this. I leaned back, thinking about all the nights I'd spent building something that could change the world, while Marcus had plotted to turn it into just another corporate asset. I don't want money, I said quietly. I want control, not for me, for everyone. The protocol stays open source. The patents become public domain, and Marcus steps down. That's billions in potential revenue you're talking about giving away. No, I corrected her. That's billions in value I'm talking about protecting. You just can't see it yet. She left without agreeing, but I knew she'd be back. The numbers in her folder told a clear story, one that would only get worse when day 30 arrived. 3 days before the deadline, I sat in my small office, watching the sunset paint the city gold. My phone was filled with messages from former colleagues, investors, even competitors, all sensing that something big was about to happen. Lisa's message caught my eye. Marcus just called an emergency board meeting for the morning of day 30. He claims he's found a way to force compliance in the protocol. I smiled, thinking of the elegant trap waiting in the code. Sometimes the best security isn't a wall. It's a mirror, showing people the truth about what they're trying to destroy. Day 30 was coming, and with it, a lesson about the true nature of trust, control, and the future of technology. Day 30 dawned clear and cold in San Francisco. I arrived at Quantum Secure's headquarters not as a visitor, but as an invited guest. Rebecca Wong herself had called late last night, her voice tense. Whatever you've built into this system, it's starting to wake up. Marcus is about to do something stupid. Be there at 9 a.m. I walked through the familiar glass doors, past Jim's knowing smile at security, and into the building I'd helped design. The tension was palpable. Developers hunched over keyboards, executives huddled in corners, everyone looking like they hadn't slept. The emergency board meeting was being held in our main conference room, the one with a direct view of our server farm through blast-resistant windows. Marcus had insisted on visible servers rather than cloud hosting, never understanding that real security isn't about what you can see. Alex, Marcus nodded stiffly as I entered. He looked terrible, expensive suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Thank you for coming. We found a solution to our technical issues. The room was packed. Board members, key investors, technical leads, and even representatives from our biggest enterprise clients. On the main screen, a complex diagram showed Marcus's plan to fork the protocol, creating a private version they could control. I took my seat silently, watching the familiar pattern of lights blinking on the servers beyond the glass. Right on schedule, a subtle shift in their rhythm told me the protocol's final phase had begun. As you can see, Marcus was saying, pointing to his diagrams, by implementing these changes, we can assert full control over the protocol's core functions. The open source complications will be. The screen went black. Then, line by line, text began appearing. Attempting unauthorized protocol modification. Initiating distributed consensus verification. Original architect authentication required. Marcus's face went pale. What is this? Someone's hacking us. I couldn't help but laugh. No, Marcus. The system is working exactly as designed. You just never bothered to read the actual white paper, did you? Standing up, I walked to the front of the room. What you're seeing is the protocol's core security feature, the one I tried to explain 3 years ago when we founded this company. It's not just a blockchain. It's a distributed trust architecture with embedded governance. On the screens around us, data began flowing, not just code, but proof. Documentation of every attempt they'd made to modify the protocol, every failed effort to centralize control, and most importantly, every conversation about forcing me out. The protocol doesn't just secure data. I continued, watching understanding dawn on the faces around me. It secures itself. Every node in the network has to agree to fundamental changes. And thanks to the smart contracts I built in at the beginning, those nodes are controlled by the developers and users who actually build on the platform, not by corporate interests. Rebecca Wong stood up slowly. You distributed control before we ever invested. Exactly. Quantum Secure doesn't own the protocol. We never did. We just built services on top of it. The real innovation isn't the technology itself. It's the governance model that keeps it free and open. Marcus lunged for his laptop. This is ridiculous. I'll shut down the servers. The server room lights shifted again, and new text appeared. Distributed backup network activated. 10,000 nodes online. System integrity maintained. Lisa stood up from her seat in the corner. It's not just our servers, Marcus. The protocol runs on a global network of volunteer nodes. Developers, universities, privacy advocates, people who believe in what it was meant to be. Shutting down our servers would be like trying to shut down the internet by unplugging your router. The next hour was chaos. Marcus tried increasingly desperate measures to assert control, each one failing more spectacularly than the last. The board members watched in stunned silence as their billion-dollar dreams of monopoly control evaporated. Finally, Rebecca took charge. Enough. Alex, what do you want? The same thing I've always wanted, I replied calmly. Quantum Secure returns to its original mission. The protocol stays open source. We make money by providing services and support, not by controlling the technology. And the leadership changes. You want your company back, Marcus spat. No, I corrected him. I want the company to be what it was meant to be. A steward, not an owner. A participant, not a ruler. The vote was quick and decisive. Marcus was out. The board accepted my conditions, not out of choice but necessity. The protocol had proven itself more valuable as an open system than it ever could be as a closed one. The aftermath transformed not just Quantum Secure, but the entire cybersecurity industry. Our stock price, after an initial drop, soared as investors realized the true value of what we built, a platform that could never be hijacked or monopolized. Lisa became our new CTO, leading a reinvigorated development team. The open source community, seeing that we genuinely protected their interests, contributed innovations we could never have created alone. I took on the role of chief architect, focusing on what I did best, building technology that empowered rather than controlled. Marcus, last I heard, he was trying to launch a blockchain startup of his own, but developers tended to avoid anything with his name attached. 1 year later, I stood in that same conference room, addressing a different kind of meeting. Instead of board members, the room was filled with developers from around the world. Our first open protocol summit. Security isn't about walls, I told them, it's about transparency. Trust isn't about control, it's about community. What we're building here isn't just technology. It's a new way of thinking about how we collaborate and create. The protocol had evolved beyond anything I could have built alone. Developers had added features I'd never imagined, all while maintaining the core principles of openness and distributed control. Last week, a young programmer asked me why I'd built in the governance features that prevented any single entity from taking control. I showed her our old company motto, still etched in the lobby glass. Security through trust. The real security, I explained, wasn't in the code itself. It was in making sure the code could never be used against its own purpose. Sometimes the best way to protect something is to give it away, but give it away so cleverly that it can never be taken back. Rebecca Wong, who had become one of our strongest advocates for open source, joined me for coffee recently. You know what Marcus never understood, she mused. the billions he wanted to make by controlling the protocol. We're making more than that by serving it. True value isn't in ownership, it's in contribution. She was right. Quantum Secure's revenue had tripled, not despite giving away our core technology, but because of it. We become the trusted experts in a system we'd proven we couldn't control. And that made all the difference. The protocol itself has become something of a legend in tech circles. The system that couldn't be captured, the code that protected itself. But I know the real protection wasn't in the technology. It was in the community that believed in what it stood for. Every morning when I walk past our server room, I smile at the visible machines behind the glass. They're still there because Marcus insisted on them. But now they serve a different purpose. They're a reminder that true security isn't about what you can see, it's about what you can trust. And trust, as I learned, is something you can build into code, but only if you're willing to trust first yourself. In the end, the greatest revenge wasn't in destroying what Marcus tried to steal. It was in proving that it couldn't be stolen at all. The protocol remained free, the community grew stronger, and the vision I'd fought for became reality. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to fight for control. It's to make control itself impossible. That's a lesson the tech world is still learning, one line of code at a time.